Okay, amigos. So this one's about verb conjugation. What is conjugation? Well, most of the time in English we don't do it. We have a verb like eat. We say I eat, you eat, we eat, y'all eat, they eat. And you'll notice that the eat doesn't change. It just keeps eat, 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 eat. It doesn't matter who's doing it. The one time we do is in the third person singular. If we say he, we don't say he eat, we say he eats. I mean, that's like the rules. We say whatever we want to say because language exists to serve us. We don't exist to serve the rules of language. It means what we say it means. That's a whole different thing. Anyway, the rules say she eats. So you'll notice that eats is different than eat. Well, in Spanish, every single one of these is different. So if we take the verb cantar, this is considered an AR verb because the last two letters are AR. Hopefully you remember this from last year. There's two other kinds of verbs. I'll get to them in just a second. So unlike English, where it stays the same really until you get to third person singular, Spanish changes for each and every one. So if you remember our subjects like this, él or ella, the nosotros form. I'm not going to do vosotros, I warned you about that. And ellos. The form of cantar will be different for each one. Canto. Cantas. Canta. Cantamos. Almost ran out of room. Cantan. And this, I hope you're noticing, is that shape we were talking about before. I told you I was going to call it the box. Now, this pattern is so important because you don't have to learn every form of every verb. You can just learn these endings. The yo ending is o, the tu ending is as, the el and ella ending is a, the nosotros ending is amos, and the ellos ending is an. And it works literally for any verb. I'll give you another one. Bailar. How do I say I dance? I'd say yo bailo. You dance, tú bailas. He dances, él baila. And if I wanted to say she dances, I would just say ella instead of él, but it's still just baila. We dance, nosotros bailamos. Vosotros bailáis, but nobody cares. And ellos bailan. Okay? It works for any AR verb. And you can tell if it's an AR verb, just look at the last two letters. There's your AR. So before we go on to the ER verbs and the IR verbs, I want to stop and point out the thing that I know some of you are probably talking to the screen about. What's missing? Usted and ustedes. Hopefully some of this will get a little clearer right now. The reason usted lives in this box with él and ella, and remember, it doesn't mean he or she, it still means you. This is the formal one, somebody you talk to by their last name. Tu means you, but it's somebody you talk to by their first name. But usted lives down there with él and ella because it uses that form. So if I want to say you sing, but I'm talking to Mr. Sanders, I would say, Mr. Sanders, usted canta. But if I see my friend Paco, I would say, Paco, tú cantas. Same for ustedes. If I want to say y'all sing really well, I would say, ustedes cantan muy bien. Ustedes uses the ellos form. It doesn't mean they, it means y'all, but it uses the same ending. Okay, I'm trying to keep these short, so I'm not going to go too much into that, but please email me, talk to me in class, and I'll help you out. Comer. Every ER verb will work just the same as comer. So it's It's an O again for the yo form. But now instead of an AS, it's an ES, comes. Él or ella come. Nosotros comemos. Ustedes coméis, whatever. Ellos comen. And if you notice, it's almost exactly like the AR verbs, except instead of an A, you're putting an E, which kind of makes sense. AR gets A's, ER gets E's, right? Let's look again. O, as, a, amos, an. Oh, I hate it. O, es, a, amos, en. Basically the same thing. The only one that doesn't super make sense is vivir. And I kind of think of, vivir is my example. What I mean is IR verbs. This is the third and last type of verb. You got AR, you got ER, and you got IR. I think IR verbs kind of like they hang out with ER verbs because they're basically the same. It's going to look exactly like our ER verbs here, except this one is going to be different for IR verbs. So check it out. Vivo, vives, vive, vivimos, there's the difference. Vivis, that one would be different too if we were paying attention. Viving, or if we were, making time for that one. So the endings are the same for ER and IR verbs, except for nosotros form. Nosotros is like your living room. You don't have to pretend to be anything else. You just be yourself. If you got an I, because you're an IR verb, you go ahead, you have your I. You don't have to suck in your gut or, pretend not to wear your glasses because you don't like how they look on you, whatever. So, remember we're drawing it in this shape to match yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, ellos, or ellas, ustedes. And if I need to know what ending, I use the chart. Hopefully, this will go from a thing that you look at to a thing you have just jammed in your brain, and you can kind of look at your notes just by thinking. That's the idea. O, es, a, hemos, or imos, depending, right? And en. All right. So if I want yo, I just look at that box. They match. If I want tú, I look at this box because they match. Are you getting it? Should I just stop? If I want él, ella, or usted, I just look at this box because they match. If I want nosotros, it's the same box. Nosotros lives in the top right. The correct ending lives up in the top right. See that? Or last one. If I want ellos, or ellas, or ustedes,